All right, I guess we can start with an introduction to the podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fitlosophies Podcast. My name is Cody Johnson. I'm going to be your host on here today and every day, hopefully. This podcast is going to serve as a way, really as an outlet for me to express myself regarding my views on business management and ownership, as well as talk a lot about what it's like running a business in the fitness world. I also hope to get some guests on here, whether they are clients, staff members, other business owners out there in the field, and kind of just have open and honest discussions about what it's like running a progressive business in today's society, and what are the ways that we can kind of combat any inequalities that we see, while also facing challenges such as making sure our business stays open, right? So there's a lot of things that we can talk about, and this is really going to be an extension of a blog series that I started earlier this year. So if you were interested in anything like this at all, if you love Chapel Hill training, you love health, you love fitness, you love business ownership and management, then you have found the right place. Today actually is just going to be an introduction. So I will just be telling you a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know. And then I'll just go through talking about some of my roles that I have so far, how I got started here at Chapel Hill Training, and what kind of we've been doing in the meantime to make sure we try and stay successful.
Could you maybe talk a little bit about the podcast and how it will contribute to things that we're already doing at CHT, like blog posts, newsletters, etc.?
Yeah, so I won't lie, the podcast is not my first choice of things to do. So for everyone listening to this, fun fact, I hate seeing myself on camera, and I also hate hearing my voice. But these are the things that we got to do, right? Sometimes it's just nice to get out there. So a lot of my goal, and Claire and Andrew are here, who've been helping us a lot with I guess they are my co-hosts today. They've been helping out a lot with our basically all of our media, so all of our social media, all of our newsletters, all of our website designs, things like that. And ever since Claire started about a year ago, our goal has been to better connect with our community in a post-COVID world. One of the things that we used to do a ton of prior to COVID was community events, and we'd see people in the studio every single day. Everyone wanted to interact with each other. Everyone got to know each other. We all got to interact with each other a little bit more. And then we spent 2 years where we only got to interact with people on screens. And one of the biggest things that I think that changed within society was the way that we all interact with one another, and the way that we find and engage with the businesses and the communities that we love and that we want to be a part of. And so one of my goals, kind of like now that we are a few years out of COVID, is really bringing that as part of our business plan. So working on ways to better establish relations with our clientele, our prospective clientele, our former clientele, anyone that's part of our community. That also includes any of our business partners or our employees, past, present, future employees, and things of that nature. And one of the best ways to do that is through social media, or through like constant contact on newsletters, and any other form of like social media sites, even our website. So we've been really fortunate kind of to like have outlets for a lot of different parts of my job and my career, but also what our staff do day in and day out. And it's nice for people to have an outlet to see that, and then also get to peek behind the curtain about like what's going on, how is our business functioning, what are some things that maybe I've done or have not done that were successful, and a lot of times not successful, and were a good learning opportunity. And now I think the podcast is a great way to kind of dive into those a little bit deeper, where you can kind of hear it, you can listen to it, but you also get a lot of insight. And fortunately or unfortunately, you get to hear my voice. So if you do like to hear my voice, nice. If you don't, then I'm sorry.
So Cody, what does a typical day really look like for you, balancing your responsibilities as both a business owner and a personal trainer?
For sure. So this is a question actually that I answer a lot. I do some classes at UNC Chapel Hill. So I teach about once a semester, and I go in as a guest speaker and a guest lecturer for the fitness management world, or the fitness management class. And the goal of that is really to teach college students about what it's actually like to own, operate, or just run a successful fitness business, whether that's like healthcare, preventative healthcare, personal training, physical therapy. There's a lot of different speakers that go, but I've had the honor of doing that for the last, I think, 7 years or so, with one of my former professors, actually. So it's been cool kind of connecting on a professional world as opposed to being like student and teacher. And one of the things I put on there is I have this nice big slide that kind of lays out what all of my responsibilities are for the different hats that I wear. And I like to talk to all the students about how that's changed over time. So when I was like just a personal trainer and / business manager, a lot of my roles were really client facing, right? So I had a lot of time where I was, working on client programming, or I was like actually rendering our services. I was selling our personal training packages. I was interacting with people on the floor. And when we had a little bit more staff, interacting with other staff members. So it was a lot of kind of like that front of the room, that front of the business, the face of the business aspect. And, those responsibilities were everything, right? So cleaning, sales, staff management to a degree, and then rendering services, obviously. And I still do that. And I love to do that. That's how I started as a personal trainer. So I don't necessarily want to give that up. I really enjoy working with my clients. And it's one of those things that I think, number one, I'm good at it and I was very successful at it. But also it just brings me joy, right? So even as my responsibilities have grown way beyond that kind of like smaller role as a personal trainer, it's not really something that I necessarily want to move away from. One, because I love it, and then two, secondarily, because I do believe that with the changes that I make on the back end now as a business owner and manager, as I kind of go into and describe those in a second, I believe it's important for me to understand what it's like on the ground level as well. What are my employees going through? Is my vision actually occurring the way I'd like it to be? And one of the ways that I can best kind of understand and answer that question is to actually experience it for myself, right? So knowing that I can actually walk the walk, talk the talk, and also, undergo the things that I'm asking my employees to do. And I think that is something that's really beneficial for them, but also for myself. So balancing the responsibilities, I kind of did list off a lot with the personal trainer side. So for those of you listening at home, business owners, we do a lot, right? And especially small business owners, we don't have the budget to kind of bring in a ton of different help on a lot of different opportunities. So a lot of these smaller things, I'm now fortunate to where I've been able to outsource the actual like day-to-day responsibility. Like, Claire and Andrew here, they do a lot of our social media relations, so I don't have to necessarily do that. But one of the things I work with them on is understanding the goals and expectations for that. So I do kind of a more broader vision of things now, to where a lot of my responsibility falls on what do I want the business to look like? How do I think it should operate? And then look at others and say, hey, I believe that you can do this. Here are the expectations. And now let's go and meet them. And then over time, start to find ways to objectively and subjectively measure those to make sure we're getting to the point of that vision. So that's kind of the end goal of where I've gotten now. Before that, though, oh man, I was doing everything. Like I was doing our social media, I was doing our newsletters, I was doing our personal training, I was doing our staff hiring, I was doing our staff firing, I was doing our staff meetings, I was doing our other staff meetings, I was doing cleaning, I was ordering equipment, I was maintaining equipment, I was talking to clients, I was, checking schedules, I was doing our payroll, doing all of these things and functions that you see that you need in a day-to-day business. I was doing all of it. And I still do a ton of it. I think it's partially because I'm a control freak, but also because it's really hard to like get off of that like journey, right? Like my therapist would say, like, how do you handle all of that stress? Or like whenever stress pops up, you just kind of activate. And like, yeah, that's true. Like as soon as something comes up and it's like, oh, there's a problem or there's something to solve, my brain just ticks into overdrive. And it's like, all right, this is how we get this done. We got to do X, Y, Z. And then we're going to flip it. We're going to do ABC. We're going to combine the both and they're going to work out great and it's going to be done. And I think about all that like in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, here's my to-do list. This is the 100 responsibilities I got. Let's start knocking them off and go one by one. So it's a ton of stuff. I know that's a really long-winded answer for like balancing responsibilities. The short answer is I try my best to balance them. Whether or not I succeed all the time maybe is up to interpretation.
So what challenges do you face in managing the business side of CHT while staying actively involved in training clients?
Oh, what challenges do I face, man? How much of a list do you want here? Because this could be, we could talk about this for the next year if you want. I guess as far as challenges, one of the things I think I've been really good at my whole life is time management. I've always found a way to make sure the things that I want to do and that I can do are able to fit within 24 hours in a day or whatever I see fit. I think the biggest challenge of managing the business side while also doing training clients and kind of all of these other hats, and the thing that I kind of fell off the most with really, I would say during COVID, but honestly, it probably switched a little bit. Like I probably got a little better at it. But pre-COVID and stuff was really just taking care of myself, right? Like I think I spent a lot of time in terms of making sure the business was healthy. Like this was my baby, right? Like I wanted this thing to succeed. And I spent hours and hours and hours every single day kind of getting things done. And routinely I'd be up like working on stuff, like managing spreadsheets or sending emails like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, wake up at 5, either come in and work out or, go train a client and then just like get it rolling for the next 14 hours. And I think a lot of business owners kind of resonate with that. Like once you find, what you like and what you love and what is going to be successful, you really latch onto that in a way that's almost obsessive. And I think that was really the biggest challenge for me, was understanding how do I maintain this sort of like obsessive attitude about wanting to be great and wanting this thing to succeed, with making sure that I myself can be great and I can be healthy and I can take care of myself in a way that's going to allow me to do this for a long time. And I would say that now that I've been doing this for almost 10 years, I'm maybe scratching the surface on figuring that part out, and hopefully, continuing to manage that in a good way. As far as like outside of like within who I am as a person, the challenges I face, I think on a day-to-day basis, it varies. Sometimes the challenges are, how do I motivate staff to make sure that they're meeting the expectations for like what I would do? One of the things that I think has been hard over time to find, I think I've been able to find that recently, are having, staff who are motivated, but also care about their job as much as I would care about the job, right? One of the hard parts about giving up clients when I kind of started to scale a little bit more and I wanted to bring more people in than I could handle, was finding people who I felt would do the exact same good job and care about it just as much as I would, when I brought them on, and how they would introduce and render those services. And I think that, the real answer is they always do that. The hard part is understanding, like when I come in, if I've had a bad day, or if they come in, they've had a bad day. And we have those ups and downs sometimes. Sometimes it'd be hard to rectify that. And I think it's hard for me sometimes to necessarily look at a situation and be like, hey, they're doing exactly what I would do as themselves, right? And I think I've gotten a lot better at understanding the intricacies of someone's personality and letting that shine through how they render their service themselves, and kind of letting that blossom and grow.
So what are some events or initiatives that CHT has been involved with to build community? Like, are there any events in the future that you're looking forward to implementing?
Yeah, so we've done a lot here actually to build community. Like I mentioned earlier, we did a ton, kind of pre-COVID. I'd say a ton. I guess it really was a ton, actually. I'm not going to lie on myself there. It was a lot. So one of our main feature events is Dumbbells and DJs. We do that every month. I've been DJing for like 10 years. And originally, when I started doing that, I just thought it was going to be fun to combine two of my passions, right? Like, okay, yeah, I get to play music for people, and then, they get to work out, and it'll be loud and fun, and it'll be a little bit different than our usual service offering. So we've been doing that really, basically forever since I've been here. And I think that's been a really good opportunity for people to come and exercise in a way that is different from their day-to-day, right? Like most of our clients come in and they, have a lot of one-on-one attention. They have like specific goals they're working on. And not to say that it isn't necessarily fun, because it's definitely fun and people enjoy coming in, but there's like not really the social aspect, right? And one thing about health and exercise is, at least for me and my experience, was I always grew up playing sports. So whenever I was exercising or, lifting, I always had people there with me. And there's like a different level of energy and a different level of accountability that you get when you can look at a collective group, everyone working toward a similar goal and everyone excited and happy and having fun. And it really creates this other aspect of motivation for people. And it gives you something to kind of tether yourself to and tether your goals to and tether like really good feelings about, right? It's something that makes people happy. So one of the biggest things we do is try and do community events to get people a little bit out of their comfort zone maybe, or maybe a little bit away from what they're used to, but give good music to people, bring a lot of like fun and happy people in to do something, and everyone has a good time. And I found that really helps drive that sense of community around here, at least for, a good chunk of our clients.